Which Deadpool scenes are banned in several countries? Why does the anti-hero talk to us through the screen? And why the hell do they want to cancel the fourth film about the merc with the mouth? We've packed the most important moments from 33 years of our favorite vulgar scoundrel's life into 15 minutes. Movie Play – Movies Under X-Ray. It's like seeing all the internal organs of Deadpool's enemies even before he dismembers the bad guys. You subscribe, ring the bell, and like. We drop info bombs, Easter eggs, and movie games. Stay tuned for the evolution of Deadpool. How did he go from an outsider to a pop icon that hit Hollywood where it hurts the most?
I hope they've locked pain to your every last nerve, because I'm gonna go looking.
Deadpool and Wolverine have shattered all records. The film helped the studio cross the coveted billion-dollar mark and became the highest-grossing R-rated movie in history. The merc with a mouth literally danced on the graves of all Marvel superheroes. It might have even been that he brought the studio back to the top after a long slump. Will the next film in the franchise get the green light? And will there be a place for Ryan Reynolds? Stay tuned to find out. Reynolds is the biggest fan of the character and has put a lot of effort into bringing the chatterbox from the comics to the big screen. Plus, it's Ryan's version of the anti-hero that has evolved the most. The mercenary who used to break the fourth wall and crack below-the-belt jokes for the audience's amusement, now in Reynolds' portrayal, acts as the savior of the cinematic universe and a critic of the entire film industry. In the new movie, Deadpool even takes a swing at the sacred, poking fun at the modern world's diversity principles. And it's no wonder. Deadpool hasn't just grown up, he's reached the age of Christ, so he can afford it. Why do you think Deadpool and not someone else became the #1 savior of the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now? A. He's the only one with dual citizenship in cinema and reality. B. Ryan Reynolds negotiated it for him. C. To avoid a scandal about the skin color of the main hero. D. He's the only active superhero who can rally the unjustly forgotten. Stay with us until the end to find out the answer to this question.
I am Marvel Jesus.
1991, artist Rob Liefeld combines the looks of Deathstroke, Wolverine, and Spider-Man just for fun. He roughly sketches the character on a scrap of paper and then tosses it away. How this draft ended up in the hands of studio executives remains a mystery. But they liked the parody and got Deadpool out of the trash, making him a Marvel hero. His first appearance was in issue number 98 of the New Mutants, but you wouldn't recognize the fan favorite in it. Back then, Deadpool didn't joke, swear, or break the fourth wall, but he already had superhuman regenerative abilities, was immune to diseases, and skilled in martial arts. By the way, how long do you think it would take Deadpool to regenerate from a pile of ashes? A. 10 minutes, B. 1 hour, C. 1 week, D. 24 hours. The creators also came up with the trick involving a serum that suppressed his powers but temporarily restored his normal appearance. However, this feature was rarely used in the stories. The ugly duckling and the antagonist were the perfect combo. But initially, Deadpool's character didn't gain much popularity. The artist was accused of plagiarism due to the similarity with DC's Deathstroke. Even their names were almost identical, Wade Wilson and Slade Wilson respectively. Do you think that the audience's complaints about Deadpool's creators end there? No, that was just the beginning. In '92, Deadpool makes his first screen appearance, but in the X-Men animated series, he gets a whopping 1 second of screen time. He's just a projection by Professor X and not a standalone character. The next attempt at animation comes 17 years later. In the 2009 short film Hulk vs. Wolverine, Wade makes one of the central characters. And as our colleagues from Full Evolution point out, this is when the most important thing happens: his transition from just an antagonist to an anti-hero. Deadpool is enhanced with vulgar humor, self-irony, a thirst for grotesque violence, and excessive chattiness that drives his opponents crazy.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, Lady Deathstrike tried to kill you while you were asleep. Better than having to listen to you.
Additionally, the mercenary starts realizing he's in a comic book, so he often breaks the fourth wall, directly addressing the reader or viewer and commenting on the events around him. This in turn makes the fan a part of the story.
Yep, that's a good one.
In the 2000s, Deadpool finally got his own comic series and became a multi-dimensional character. Now, he's not simply a villain. He has motives and shows compassion, though he still lacks moral principles. Most importantly, the Merc with a Mouth built a solid fan base. Fans flocked to theaters in 2009 for X-Men Origins Wolverine, initially making the film a box office hit, but then ruthlessly criticizing what they saw. There, two actors portrayed Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds for the human-like version and Scott Adkins for the mutated version. The writers decided to play with audience expectations. In their version, Wade Wilson suddenly has blades coming out of his hands and laser vision. Plus, after gaining superpowers, Deadpool's mouth was sewn shut. Viewers didn't appreciate this creativity and actively criticized the film for deviating from the classic comic storyline and tarnishing the mercenary's image. Later, Reynolds himself got revenge. In a post-credit scene of the second film, he goes back in time and kills that disgraceful version of Deadpool.
Hey, it's me. Don't scratch. Just cleaning up the timelines.
In 2016, with the release of the first film, Deadpool became a cultural phenomenon. His quotes from the solo movie with Ryan Reynolds were instantly turned into catchphrases. Just think about Deadpool's confession that he got his own movie by sleeping around.
Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie? I can't tell you, but it does rhyme with Pulverine.
We'll talk more about the Merc's excessive sexual appetites later, but for now, the first film gives us a full tragic backstory of Wade Wilson's life. By the way, do you know where he was born? A. Canada. B. USA. C. Mexico. D. Australia. Here are the facts about his tough childhood, his service in the Special Forces, his cancer, the experimental treatment, and the painful transformation into a mutant that ultimately drives him insane. Also in this film, Deadpool takes on the role of a romantic hero, with the love story with the prostitute Vanessa being the main driving force of the plot. In the end, this makes the mercenary, who usually works for money, become an altruist.
I didn't ask to be super, and I'm no hero. But when you find out your worst enemy is after your best girl, the time has come to be a superhero.
In the first film, the anti-hero's appearance was also improved. Since the spandex mask Ryan Reynolds wore during filming made it hard to convey emotions, they decided to use CGI markers. Emotions were then enhanced with 3D graphics during post-production. Now, Deadpool could move his eyebrows and other facial muscles, allowing the character to interact with the audience more effectively.
I'm touching myself tonight.
In the second film of the franchise, Deadpool is shown more as a human than a mutant. He goes through deep emotional trauma caused by the death of his girlfriend and tries to kill himself. For the first time, Deadpool takes on responsibility, trying to prevent the young mutant Russell from becoming a villain in the future. To do this, he forms the X-Force team, where he learns to cooperate and value teamwork, which is quite unusual for a lone mercenary. These factors ultimately demonstrate Deadpool's maturity.
Too exotic?
But the most revolutionary year for the anti-hero was 2024. We finally saw Deadpool and Wolverine. By the way, did you notice that title? The Chatterbox's name comes first. Now he, not Logan, is the main Marvel hero. The studio bosses have given Deadpool a mission. No, not to save his world, which is on the brink of extinction after Wolverine's death.
Wade, you are special. This is your chance to be a hero among heroes.
The Merc with a Mouth becomes the savior of the studio itself. He has to reboot the Marvel film cycle. That's why he ends up in the Void, a sort of purgatory, to find unjustly forgotten heroes like Blade, Elektra, Gambit, and the Human Torch. In his new movie, through numerous cameos and multiverses, Deadpool promotes the studio's future projects, the rights to which Marvel regained after Disney bought Fox. So, the third part is essentially a big commercial on one hand, and an attempt, riding on Deadpool's success, to push even more heroes onto the audience, whom the studio will relentlessly exploit over the next 5 years on the other. Does this mean Deadpool sold out? Yeah, but he never hid the fact that he worked for money. Reynolds' character even jokes about this in the film. He also criticizes modern Hollywood trends where excessive political correctness has literally driven cinema into a dead end, causing studios to lose millions because of it. By the way, do you know what Deadpool's biggest fear is? A. Clowns. B. Cows. C. Spiders. D. Redheads.
Gen Z and their trauma bragging. Can't you just stuff it down, turn it into accomplishment or cancer like the rest of us?
So Deadpool couldn't care less about all of Hollywood. He compares himself to Jesus, driving believers crazy and hints at banned substances despite Disney's family image. But most importantly, in the third film, his queer identity shines the brightest.
How long was I asleep?
Not all of you was asleep.
Overall, the entire film's promo campaign was one big hint at Deadpool and Wolverine's same-sex love. This forced distributors in China, India, and Turkey to redub all the scenes they deemed inappropriate. Just think about the ad for a popcorn bucket shaped like Wolverine's head with his mouth open being filled with butter. This not only outraged the LGBTQ+ community, but they also called to cancel the new Deadpool. They claimed that Reynolds' character's crude jokes devalue gay relationships. However, in reality, Deadpool is promoting his pansexuality, claiming he's attracted to women, men, and even unicorns.
I'm about to do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music in the late 90s.
Reynolds has repeatedly said he'd like the spandex-wearing mercenary to finally find a boyfriend in the next film. Fans also speculate that Deadpool's numerous hints about his love for Wolverine in the third part could very well be a setup for the fourth film. After all, in one alternate universe, there really is a gay Logan, but for now, the producers have only partially fulfilled Reynolds' wish. The rights to Deadpool's backside were temporarily handed over to Microsoft, which released a gamepad inspired by its perfect shape. Now, you can use Deadpool's butt to play the classic 2013 game by High Moon Studios, which, by the way, is trending again after the success of the third film. Because of this, its price has increased fivefold. And given Marvel's love for money, fans should expect a new video game soon.
Just promise you'll do right by me.
And all these not-so-conventional views of Reynolds' Deadpool are theorized not only in front of millions of fans, but also his closest family. Do you know which member of the real Reynolds family appeared in Deadpool vs. Wolverine? A. Daughter. B. Wife. C. Whole family. D. Son. It's clear how much Ryan cares about his character. There's an invisible bond between them. So, even during the planning stage of the latest part, the actor proposed over 20 possible plot lines to Marvel director Kevin Feige. This suggests that for Reynolds, it's not just a role, but to some extent, his alter ego. Maybe that's why the actor brought his entire family to the set. His wife, Blake Lively, played Lady Deadpool, his 7-year-old daughter Inez portrayed Kidpool, his 9-year-old son James somehow ended up as the Screaming Mutant, and even his youngest, Olin, got the role of Babypool. Ryan posted a photo with his daughter on Twitter writing, "Only co-star I argued with." I wonder how all these lady baby kid Deadpools would react if Deadpool really left them for Wolverine, and what if Ryan Reynolds did the same for Hugh Jackman? But enough fantasizing before we get sued for threatening the family integrity of the Deadpools. The Reynolds. Therefore, Deadpool's evolution over 33 years is impressive. He went from a secondary antagonist to one of Marvel's most popular anti-heroes, bringing the studio tons of money. Deadpool also completely shattered the stereotype of the traditional superhero. His methods of fighting evil include a lack of moral principles, crude jokes, and chatter that can drive his opponents insane. Yes, Deadpool is not a model hero, but it's precisely his imperfections and personal issues that ultimately made the anti-hero more human and relatable to the audience. Deadpool ushered in a new era of superhero cinema. The emergence of the series The Boys, which is another R-rated comic adaptation about corrupt superheroes, became possible precisely after the success of Deadpool. And Reynolds' charisma played no small part in this. The actor became the canonical Deadpool. He doesn't just portray the character, he embodies the mercenary. Yet, with no information from Marvel about a fourth film, Reynolds is also scaring fans. He hints that his participation in a potential sequel is in question. The actor is now 48. A few more years of filming and post-production, and he'll be 50. Should Deadpool age? And will the studio look for another actor because of this? Whenever asked by journalists, Reynolds jokes, saying he'd only agree to a fourth film if he urgently needed money because his wife and kids might bankrupt him. Though they should also be paid for these shoots, right?
You are droning on.
We have walked with you through Deadpool's journey from his days of obscurity to becoming a true messiah. We've seen how a forgotten, background character can transform into the savior of an entire cinematic universe. And we've realized that Ryan Reynolds played a pivotal role in this transformation. This confirms the theory that nothing is created without purpose, and in every world, there's a role for everyone. Of course, we didn't forget our opening question: why Deadpool and not someone else became Marvel's #1 hero right now? After thorough analysis, we've concluded that the correct answer is D. He's the only active superhero who can rally and lead the Forgotten Ones. Think about it. If Thor or even Thanos were in his place, the folks from the Wastelands would have had plenty of questions. But with Deadpool, a simple guy who somehow rose from the ashes of old comics to become a superhero, he's the perfect inspiration for those whose epic return to the screens we're now eagerly awaiting. And while the creators and the actor are still at the stage of foreplay, let us know whose evolution we should break down next, The Thing or Soldier Boy from The Boys? Or maybe you have your own suggestions. Share your ideas in the comments below and we'll pick the best one and make it for you in the best possible way. Let's be real, 2023 was not exactly a blockbuster year for Marvel. With major box office flops like Secret Invasion and The Marvels, MCU surely lost major prestige that year, despite announcing the Ironheart series and Captain America: Brave New World.
Maybe Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers.
Marvel's spark was gone. From lackluster plots to CGI that looked straight out of the 90s, fans wondered if they will ever get to watch a Marvel blockbuster again. But just then, Deadpool and Wolverine came along, and the tables for MCU turned faster than you could have imagined. The movie featured two of Marvel's unexpected characters together, surrounded by chaos, claws, and comedy, and it turned out that's exactly what we needed to save the year. But that wasn't all this movie delivered. Buckle up and relax because we're diving into all the madness that makes this flick a must-watch. Welcome to the Movie Play channel, where movies go under X-ray. It's like Wolverine taking off his adamantium claws but still failing airport security because the scanner picks up every single adamantium bone in his adamantium skeleton. And before we move forward, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell. From secret Easter eggs and hilarious one-liners to incredible cameos and more, here is everything you need to know about Deadpool and Wolverine. By the way, you've probably already heard how many cameos appeared in Deadpool and Wolverine. What do you think is the exact number? A. 41, B. 54, C. 12, D. 33. Stay with us until the end to find out the answer, unless of course you'd rather sit down and count them yourself. Let's kick things off with that new Marvel intro. If you blinked, you might have missed some of the sneaky little changes they made. They went with the traditional long-form Marvel Studios intro, the one that feels like it lasts as long as an entire Disney Plus episode. But this time, they decided to mix it up with a few nods to our favorite Merc with a Mouth. They snuck in scenes from the previous Deadpool movies and even added a brand new clip from the Deadpool vs. Wolverine right inside the M of the Marvel logo. Now, that is a first. Normally, Marvel plays it safe and only adds scenes from older movies, but here, they went full Deadpool, breaking all the rules. And then, because it's Deadpool, things get, well, meta. The Marvel fanfare music kicks in, but surprise, it's Deadpool humming the tune. He even jokes about how catchy it is. Then, bam! The Marvel Studios logo morphs into the texture of Deadpool's red costume, shifting colors to match our two anti-heroes, red for Deadpool and yellow for Wolverine. But wait. The color shift was not only a graphic technique. Look closely, and you'll see that the uniform has several bloodstains on it. And that was our clue that this movie wasn't a PG-13 movie, but it will be rated as R restricted. Starting, Deadpool takes us to a familiar place, the woods where Logan was laid to rest at the end of the Logan movie. He begins with, "We promised we wouldn't dishonor Logan's memory, but we lied." Next thing you know, he's digging up Wolverine's grave and, of course, he's doing it with a mug that says, "I like me." Which he lifted from a TVA agent earlier. These agents work under the Time Variance Authority, which is an organization existing outside space and time and is on a mission to protect the sacred timeline of Marvel. Coming back to the scene, Deadpool's not happy about Logan dying, pointing out that Wolverine's healing factor shouldn't let that happen. And then, clunk, his shovel hits the metal. And that sound takes us right back to Wolverine's first appearance in the original X-Men film. If that wasn't a clue big enough, we see Logan's adamantium skeleton still wearing the same shirt from his last moments in Logan and still stuck with the same tree branch that initially killed him.
I've always wanted to ride with you, Logan. You and me getting into it, Deadpool and Wolverine.
And with Deadpool gruffing about how Marvel paid big bags of cash to resurrect heroes, we were convinced that Wolverine is alive and coming back.
Shit, yeah, she's wise. No, that's her name. You call her Blind Al. Well, she's blind.
And no, this wasn't the only time Deadpool took shots on Fox. Throughout the movie, he takes jabs at them, with the most brutal one being Deadpool takes no time throwing shade at Disney's censorship rules. He jokes about how they know all the slang for cocaine, just to prove he's still the same foul-mouthed anti-hero we love. There is even a hilarious moment where Deadpool warns of former Captain America Chris Evans in all his squeaky clean glory about the indecent language. By the way, do you know which role instead of Captain America did Chris Evans play in Deadpool and Wolverine? A. Daredevil, B. Human Torch, C. Red Skull, D. Elektra. But it's not all jokes and boundary pushing. As the movie wraps up, the closing credits treat us to a montage of behind-the-scenes footage from every Fox Marvel movie. Disney told the fans that while the merger marks the end of an era, the crossover between Deadpool and Wolverine gives us hope that our favorite characters still have stories to tell.
We're gonna head down and dismantle that thing now. We got
Coming back to the start, we got the intro that instantly brought back the Marvel spark lost over the years, or something better than it. As the TVA agents appear out of nowhere, Bye 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 by NSYNC starts blasting. But Deadpool doesn't just fight here, he dances through the whole thing, busting out the exact moves from the boy band's iconic music video while still taking down TVA agents. It's as wild as it sounds. But wait, why did they choose this song over all the million choices available? Well, maybe because we needed one more throwback to the X-Men movie, which came out in the same year as the song. Now, let's talk details. Deadpool's using Wolverine's skeleton as his weapon of choice, which is just brilliant. He's got Logan's bones, but wait, he's using them in some seriously inventive ways. Sharp bones become blades and blunt ones turn into batons. And the way the credits roll into the action? Chef's kiss. For instance, Ryan Reynolds' name pops up on a bone as Deadpool jabs it through an agent's head. Then comes the part where Deadpool grabs Wolverine's claws, using blood vessels and nerves as straps. This intro's level of creativity makes it stand out. Trust me, you'll want to watch it a few times just to catch every detail. Now, let's talk about Deadpool and Wolverine's relationship, which is one of the most chaotic yet oddly charming relationships in Marvel Comics. It all started pretty rough. Their first meeting in Wolverine number 88, which was a rocky beginning. Deadpool, being his usual unhinged self, was out to kill his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. Naturally, Wolverine wasn't having any of that and stepped in to stop him. The result? An intense fight that ended with Deadpool actually getting the upper hand, something not many can say when going up against Wolverine. At first, they genuinely hated each other. Wolverine's the grumpy, no-nonsense type, while Deadpool is like a human cartoon who thrives on chaos. Their shared healing factors mean they can't die, so they fight a lot, often with ridiculous levels of violence. Deadpool's craziness and Wolverine's serious personality make them perfect opposites, which is exactly why their early fights were so explosive.
And I'm actually okay, thank you very much.
But over time, something shifted. Wolverine, who's usually the last person to tolerate nonsense, started seeing parts of himself in Deadpool, especially the trauma from the Weapon X program. Wolverine slowly realized that under all that sarcasm and insanity, Deadpool was dealing with a lot of pain, and Wolverine's been through his fair share of it too. So, begrudgingly, Wolverine started trying to steer Deadpool away from the darker path, believing there was some good in him. Eventually, after many battles, insults, and even some team-ups, they found themselves respecting each other. Wolverine saw Deadpool as more than just a loudmouth mercenary, and Deadpool, in his own twisted way, came to admire Wolverine's strength and integrity. Now they're kind of like frenemies who can't help but fight, but also trust each other when it really counts. It's a friendship that's messy, unpredictable, and surprisingly deep. And now, let's move on to the first big cameo in the movie, which is quite a blast. Jon Favreau appears as Happy Hogan, and he has a pretty hilarious role. We see him interviewing Deadpool for a spot on the Avengers, and it's all played for laughs. Deadpool pokes fun at Happy, saying his superpower is parallel parking and that he's just Armand's driver. But there's a fun twist. Using Happy Hogan is not just for comedy.
You brace yourself and you ravage the midsection.
I get it. Okay.
It might be a throwback to Jon Favreau's past. Remember, Favreau also played Foggy Nelson in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, and this film throws back to that with multiple Jon Favreau cameos. One happens during the end credits where he's back as Foggy Nelson. The interview is set in what's supposed to be the new Avengers base in upstate New York. If you look around, there are some cool Easter eggs from previous Marvel movies, the main one being the incompleted Captain America shield from Iron Man 2 displayed in the center of the office, as well as Tony Stark's original arc reactor and Iron Man helmet from the Iron Man 2 movie again. Maybe this was the moment where Deadpool and Wolverine tied its connection to the Marvel Universe, or was it Kevin Feige's way of telling Reynolds that no, he can't be in the Avengers movie? Reynolds pitched 20 versions of this Deadpool and Wolverine movie to Kevin Feige before it got the green light. So yeah, the jokes about rejection are hitting close to home on and off screen. His first pitched version wanted this movie to be a Rashomon story about Deadpool and Wolverine told from multiple perspectives. Feige rejected this idea, saying he wanted it to be more than just playing the hits. Reynolds went back to his creative corner and came back with 18 different ideas, which included making it a Sundance film, doing a project under a $10 million budget, and even using IP in a unique way, yet this just wasn't the spot for Reynolds to shine. However, our favorite cameo has to go to none other than Jennifer Garner as Elektra. Garner's Elektra has been the butt of jokes for over 2 decades now, but seeing her back in action here, you really get the sense that she always had the potential to be a true badass in the role.
All seeing you.
Let's be honest, the Daredevil movie didn't exactly give Elektra much to do before she was quickly killed off, only to be brought back in a spin-off that, well, let's just say it didn't win any screenwriting awards. But here, Garner's Elektra is resurrected. She's not just back, she's part of a killer team with Deadpool, Wolverine, and others. Even though she plays it straight, she still gets in on the laughs. One of her funniest lines, she casually mentioned that her version of Daredevil didn't make it, and she's not exactly losing sleep over it.
You get that little beauty.
That's Punisher's AT4.
There's only been one blade. There's only ever going to be one blade.
Given Jennifer Garner's real-life history with Ben Affleck, there's another layer to that joke, and it lands perfectly. It's time to do another quiz. Which of Deadpool and Wolverine's allies survived the battle in the Wastelands according to the footage on TVA monitors and announced their own standalone movie? Gambit, Elektra, Blade, or Human Torch? Despite watching the movie repeatedly, one thing that never failed to amaze me was the Void. No, this wasn't an MCU island. It was a link between all MCU stars up until now. You have Thor's helmet, Cap's old World War II shield, and even the corpse of a Chitauri Leviathan from the Avengers, which I wasn't expecting to make a comeback. Honestly, it felt as if a Marvel museum exhibit exploded and scattered across the sand, and that's just the start. There are vehicles, 2 tons of them. Cassandra and her group of villains were seen cruising around in Red Skull's car from the first Captain America movie. And to top it off, there was even a Fantastic car whom we haven't seen in any of the Fantastic Four movies yet. You can also spot a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier, Peter Quill's ship from Guardians of the Galaxy, and a Black Order ship from Infinity War just casually parked in the wasteland. At one point, Deadpool and Wolverine even use a Sentinel boot, a giant robot boot, to escape Cassandra's forces quickly. And don't forget the massive stone carving of Scarlet Witch from the Multiverse of Madness, which was secretively placed in the Resistant Group's hideout. We've dissected Deadpool and Wolverine piece by piece so you can see all its strengths. First, it's a legendary creation that will take its place in cinematic history because it reboots an entire cinematic universe. Second, no other existing film comes close to having as many cameos as this one. And third, the movie feels like a full stand-up performance by Deadpool himself. But you can't really hide these clues away from a clever eye, can you, MCU? Of course, we haven't forgotten the question we asked at the beginning. After detailed calculations, we've determined that the film features exactly 41 cameos. Want to know exactly which ones? All right, let's dive in. Thor, Henry Cavill as Wolverine, Blade, Elektra, Gambit, the Hulk, Happy Hogan, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, X-23, Laura, Lady Pool, B-15, Dance Pool, Head Pool, Kid Pool, Baby Pool, Dog Pool, Cowboy Deadpool, Paul Mullen's Welsh Pool, Canada Pool, Watari, Deadpool 2099, Rob McElhenney's TVA Soldier, Toad, Pyro, Juggernaut, Lady Deathstrike, Ant-Man, Azazel, Sabretooth, Psylocke, Callisto, Alioth, Stan Lee, Zedpool, The Russian, Blob, Nice Pool, Bullseye, Quill, Archlight. You're welcome! If you enjoyed catching all the sneaky references and wild jokes at Deadpool 3, make sure to hit like, share the fun with your friends, and subscribe for more deep dives and theories. And don't forget to drop your favorite Easter egg or reference in the comments below. Until next time, stay tuned and curious.